All right. Dear Gear Podcast listeners, welcome back. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today's an episode that Dorge and I recorded in the fall because, like I said last week, things got pretty busy. Never had time to get around to sorting through the episode and getting it uploaded. But here we are. It is December now. I can't believe it. The year is almost over. This last week here at Exodus has been all about planning for the future. I'll just say this, guys. 2024 is going to be the biggest year you've ever seen from us. So hope you guys are excited. Hope you guys had the best season of your lives last year. If you're looking for some last minute Christmas gifts, we do have rivals in stock. Arrows are in stock. Head over to the website and get yourself fixed up. Hope you guys have a great holiday season. And I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Let's get into this episode with Dorge and I talking about building arrows and the do's and don'ts and a little bit about consumer behavior. Let's go. All right, everyone. Wow. It feels good to be back, Dorge.
It sure did.
It's been a long-awaited hiatus, but we just got really busy, and unfortunately, the content of the Dear Gear podcast got put lower on the priority list. But we're back.
Yes, we sure did. So I saw. Remember, we want to talk about all the do, don't, and hate stuff. You're building your arrows, isn't it?
Oh man, yeah. Well, first of all, let me just say this: everyone listening, customers, thank you, because August and September were overwhelming with the amount of arrow orders that we received and that I built. So thank you. But man, why are you guys waiting until September to order your arrows? There's still orders. Today is October 10th. We're recording this. There are still people ordering arrows today. And I'm sure you go through that all the time because you've been doing this a lot longer.
Yep. Let's see what happens is that you got customer who like to order the arrow 3 days before they go hunting.
Yeah, that seems to be a recurring theme, but I just can't understand it personally. I just don't
Well, but you figure that some people just especially the average 25 to 50 guys, they are the one who usually do that the most.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
why?
and I see some people that are like, well, I went to go get arrows from my pro shop. They said I can't, it'll be 2 or 3 weeks before I can get them. Can you guys build them faster? And we try to stay to a 5-day build time at the most. So we are cranking them out a lot quicker than a lot of pro shops are. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Yes, and on top of that, you're doing it a lot better now.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you know what to look for. People don't understand the skill of building an arrow is one of the most important thing when you shoot over 240 feet per second. Anything over that, the build of the arrow is actually more critical than most people recognize.
Yeah, that's something that has been pretty evident in all of our testing and everything that you have taught us as of now. But today's going to be a little bit shorter, but what I want to do is just talk about what I've learned, how far I have come in the process of building arrows. And then I kind of have some questions for you on just a couple different things that maybe you do differently that could save me some time or help me do a little bit better. So actually, let's start with that. Let's just go through. Let's say that I just ordered arrows from you. Walk me through the process that you would go through to build that dozen of arrows.
Okay, first of all, I asked what arrow that is, and based on because I got more tools than you do, so I can pretty much build any inner tube size I feel like, and because I do have a diaphragm vacuum cleaner, vacuum sucker, and also have a very good what do you call it, ultrasound system. It's a 14 transducer system. So the cleaning of the shaft is one of the most critical, and soaking them in acetone and so on is good, but soaking it with acetone with ultrasound is fabulous.
Yeah.
But you need to be careful because acetone in vapor stage explosive.
Oh.
So now you know why I have all this ventilation system everywhere.
Yeah.
And not to mention soaking up too much acetone will give you a headache that you don't believe.
Yeah.
Then after I got the shaft, I'll cut the shaft first. I usually cut the shaft. I'll put the shaft onto a spinner to make sure the shaft front and back, and then I will cut whatever the side that is bad. The more I cut, the better off I am, because it's no point to just cut all the way in the back. Some people do. I don't. So I get the best part of the shaft, So looking at it,
I want to stop you real quick. I'm going to intervene for a second. In I think there's a little bit of a misconception in well, straightness, we already know that. But okay, so for a bow hunter's perspective, people think that the front of their shaft needs to be tight spin, right? Because that's where
not
the
true.
broadhead's going to be. But I
Mhm.
think that is a misconception. Speak on that real quick on why it may be more important to have the back straight.
Well, the back straightness of the shaft because it's your vein is. The front straightness of your shaft because your broadhead is. Your broadhead is going to base on mass and weight, based on speed, because none of you guys are doing crossbow. When you go to crossbow, the story changed because the speed. I mean, you see how many 10.505 and Raven 500 arrow I sell. You're talking 500 feet per second. That's over 300 miles per hour. Now think about what would happen if you have a screw off the top of the wing that is doing a wing of a plane is not doing well. The aerodynamics is already sort of like screwed. So the when you go that speed, the front and back need to spin out as soon as possible to get it as straight as possible. That means you want to have your harmonic, your elliptical tight spin as fast as possible. See, in the traditional bow world, your vein can be a little bit more in the front. It will stabilize better. But in the crossbow, the vein has to be as far back as the trigger box allowed.
Okay.
Those are very, very different approaches because, first of all, the spine of a crossbow is significantly heavier because the power stroke, although shorter, is ridiculously high. I mean, some of the crossbows are already close to 300 pounds on a 10.5-inch power stroke. I mean, should I say Raven 500?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you need to think about the axle to axle. I mean, with vertical bow guys, you got something like, oh, nobody want to shoot under 28-inch axle to axle. Well, what's the axle to axle on our 500?
13.
4 3/4 inch.
Whoa.
Why do you think the bow is this wide?
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with those crossbows, but that is just crazy.
Yeah, and unlike the Raven R18, the axle to axle is a 4.5-inch with a vertical limbs. So the string is going 90 degree up every time you shoot it.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to the process of like step by
so
step.
I get the arrow cleaned, and then I will build the insert. I will build the insert with the tubing. Anytime you do anything under 246, you should build the insert with the tubing first. You put it together, you glue them together, you spin it to make sure they're good. Now, remember, your glue takes, at this moment, you can do two things. You can actually use the like a gel to glue the insert into the tube. But remember, when you do that, you better be sure it's right because you only got, 15 seconds. They're set. That is to the insert to the tubing. Okay, you can use that to get it set fast. But for the outside, now you need to re-clean the whole thing because you touch it with your hand. That's the reason I usually build one with the blue gloves because your hand have oil.
Yeah.
That's not mustard oil. Oh, well, your opinion, you're entitled to it. Then you put the glue on the top of the shaft, and then after you finish everything, you got your 12 inner tubing with the insert all set. Now you're ready to build a shaft. Now, if I'm like you building hundreds of them, I would do all the insert, all the insert and tubing. I did it all, and I scan them all, and then I check them all because unfortunately, when you build so many, some of them are not spin right. That means the insert and tube is not right. Then you know the arrow is not right because in the 204, as the shaft diameter decreases, everything becomes more critical.
Absolutely, and that is the truth.
Didn't I tell you, don't build a 204, don't build a 660, stick with a 246 to start with? Are you glad I told you that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And of course, after that, you simply put the glue in and you make sure the temperature is over 70 degrees and the humidity is over 60.
Yes. Why does that matter?
Because it being a two-part slow-set epoxy, anything lower than that, the molecular bonding of the formation of the epoxy is getting smaller. So the higher the temperature allowed it to cure faster, not slower. But at the same time, you don't want it to be so slow because you want the viscosity of the fluid, of the glue, to fluid enough to use it. As you increase the temperature, you increase the cure speed, you also decrease the viscosity.
Sure.
And I
Okay.
found out the optimum is 70 degrees. And it's critical you put the glue on aluminum foil because like all epoxy is exothermic. That means they give a heat. By putting on aluminum foil, you extract the heat off the system. So now you can keep the glue cooled. So you have at least up to 90 minutes to work with. Yes, you hear me right, 1.5 hours to work with it. You know, that's reason all faster epoxy, like the Duo 5 minutes, or the one you see all of them 5 minutes, 1 minute. The epoxy formed molecule is extremely small. They are great for bonding, but they are useless for flexing.
Yeah.
In this specific case, what we are really trying to do, we're using the epoxy to do a long string bond to between the outer shaft and the inner shaft together. We are forcing them to bond together and flex against each other.
Sure.
This is where the magic is.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, oh, you know, we have seen shaft that have using inner tube before. But you notice all those inner tube shaft that have been done ages. But the difference is the glue. Because the inner shaft, as you shoot them, the more you shoot it, the weaker the arrow gets. Do you know why?
The what's the word I'm looking for?
The carbon dust.
Yeah, the resin.
The carbon dust between the outer and inner will form. And
Okay.
now the two tubes no longer work against each other. It's just simply putting two tubes. You only have weight. So the spine of the shaft is no longer consistent.
Okay.
So you can see how important the cleaning and the gluing process is, because that's where make it happen.
Before you put the inner tube inside the shaft, are you using like a bore brush or anything to score the inside of the shaft? Or
that is not a bad concept, but I usually don't, because if you look at it, my shaft was using what you call it the thermal differential approach to put the mantle out. So the inside of my shaft is pretty rough already. It's not like a gold tip. A gold tip is reasonably rough too. It's not like something like a Eastern or a Black Eagle. They're extremely smooth.
Okay.
You can see how smooth that is, especially on the Victory. Yes, that's a smart move. A ball brush will give you some roughness, but then you also have to clean it. A lot of people forgot to clean it, because any of the graphites, they are like lubricants. You do not want them. So again, I would say just go ahead and clean with acetone. And the next trick is that use a vacuum, suck the acetone out. The acetone is actually a debonder and a solvent for all the CA. And in the case of my RU236, which is the glue I use, that actually would also make it softer. So by using a vacuum, you remove the acetone. You force it to vaporize. Because you increase the air velocity, the evaporation goes up, then you have no more acetone in the shaft. Then you get the glue to work better.
Okay.
And of course, since like all my inserts now, they all have basic 45-degree chamfer on it. You want to do what you do is that you cut the shaft, you chamfer the shaft, then you put in acetone bath to clean it, and you vacuum suck it. So now you got a shaft you can glue with the chamfer on top.
Sure. Okay, we're all on the same page there. And then that has to set for 24 hours, correct?
At least. The ideal is 36 hours.
Okay.
Now, the 24 hours is the temperature is over 80 degrees. It's 24. But if the temperature drop, like, oh, you glue it and then you wait for winter, it's 60 degrees. Now you're pushing 48.
Okay.
But the ideal is about room temperature with 70 degrees. That will give you, but 72 is what out to be the best flow. Because as you increase temperature, the flow is better. When the flow is better, there's two sides to it. When the flow is better, the viscosity goes down. It's easy to push in, but you have less glue that goes up.
Sure. Yeah.
So after everything said and done, I find out 72 degrees seems to work the best for me. And of course, I know that a few customers up in Canada, they put all the way up to 80 degrees and still not good. The problem is that it's too dry. The humidity is like 10% because they have heater on all the time. The inside is so dry. So, I mean, there's no moisture in it, in the air to start with. The moisture is not part of the gluing process. But because of no moisture, the evaporation of the resin or the hardener and resin, some of the resin coming out, because when you mix it, you can smell it. The moisture is so low, it allows some of them to go away. So the molecular formation becomes smaller which is effectively lower. As they put a humidifier in it, well, guess what? They got what they needed.
Interesting. That's something that we haven't messed with, but our humidity levels are probably pretty good.
Correct. See, all the small things that people never thought of, like a lot of people build aero with me, the moment they go in the winter, that's where all the problems begin to form because the temperature is not right, the humidity is not right.
Yeah.
And people say, oh my God, all this work for building arrows? If you got a way that's better, cheaper, easier, let me know. I'm all ears.
Yeah, or faster. Holy crap.
Yeah, the street we build is pretty fast. This is very efficient, but just like all the steps, I mean, it's like Tesla with a gigacast. It saved all this, but how much investment are we talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, and
But
when
they
you
did it. I mean, just like they say on the Model T, they save 220 robots with 1 giga machine. Well, what that 220 robot is nowhere close to the cost of 1 giga machine.
yeah, right. Right. Let's talk about fletching for a second. So, I know the process that you taught us would be like with the arrow vein specifically, acetone on a cotton swab, wipe it off. On the dry side, wipe it in the same direction, and then
Correct.
glue.
Correct. It is critical because see, like every single vein out there, they always say have the primer and so on. Unless the glue is a true unless the material of the vein is a true PE vein, that means the surface is totally closed. In most cases, the PE do not use it because 90% of the vein, excluding mine, is extrusion process. So inside the material that is stable, that what you call it is the release agent. Otherwise, it will bind. The release agent technically is a large mineral oil molecule that is embedded. So it's everywhere. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So the moment you put acetone on it, you are forcing those oil molecule to instantly lift it off from the material and into the acetone. And then you use a clean side to wipe it. You now remove it. I mean, a lot of people do not understand. Let me give you one of the physical standpoint. Do you know glass in its non-tempered form is considered a liquid?
I think you've told me that before, but it takes a little bit to sit in.
Because it just flows very slowly.
Yeah.
That's the reason when you go to New York on some of the tall buildings, you notice the bottom of the glass and top of the glass, the bottom is about an inch thicker now after 80 years.
Oh, because it's flowing down.
Correct.
Wow.
But the moment you temper it, you change the structure. So now every single piece is structure.
Okay. The
physics do help.
Yeah. A primer pen that most people use, is that just acetone?
In some places, it's the substrate of it. What it does is that it's just simply open up the pores.
Okay.
But then when you open the pores, what happens with the oil molecule?
They go in it.
It's still there.
Yeah.
But using acetone, when you wipe it, you pull the oil molecule. What happens when you have an oil molecule on the surface? When you remove it, you actually have space.
Yeah.
The oil, now you get a space that face the oil molecule is a little bit bigger than acetone molecule. Yes, I'm talking chemistry, but this is it.
I wish I would have bought stock in acetone for the amount of acetone that we purchased. For
Yeah,
for
I went through see where you want to buy acetone. Go to Walmart. That's the best place.
Oh, okay.
Walmart paint section is $17 a can. Used to be 14, now it's 17. I know some places go 18 in big cities. It is so much better. And for the average Joe, the best acetone you can buy is go to Walmart on the cosmetic section. Make sure you do not buy the blue or the pink or the orange one. Get the clear one. The blue and orange, they all have lotion in it. You do not want that.
We don't want that. Yeah. We've been buying it from Lowe's, but it's a lot more expensive, I think.
Lowe's is the highest.
Yeah.
It's higher than the higher price than Home Depot. Walmart is the best.
All right. Well, thanks for the tip. We'll check that out.
Because Lowe's is going to cost you $25 a can.
Yeah, it is.
I know my stuff or what?
Yeah. When you build well, let's just say you have a few orders. Are you using multiple jigs, or do you just do 1 dozen on one jig and then?
No. First of all, you always do it. You find your 2 best jig. You always work with 2 jigs. If you are slow, you work with 3 jigs, so that you can do them all. Because you make sure that all your jig is right. Doing them on a single jig or multiple jig, it does not matter because remember the Firenock fletching jig have your zirconium oxide with an ABAC5 ceramic ball bearing on it. So you are guaranteed plus and minus 144 of a degree. So as long as from arrow to arrow to arrow, you mean that your mark your clamp the same. Now remember, look at all your cams. You may be off by one, say, 2/64 of an inch on the height. So what difference does it make?
Right.
In archery, it does not matter. In airplane, it does.
Yeah.
But what you're dealing with is front and back, not the position of the vein, because you're dealing with arrow vein. For your customer who shoot lasers or shoot attack veins or whatever, it really don't matter. It can be off by 3 degrees. It's still the same.
Yeah.
Because it's not an airfoil. Remember, when you deal with a drag-based vein system, you can be off by 3 to 5 degrees. It does not matter.
Right.
Because using drag is drag. I mean, you don't have a circular drag. It's the most of the drag surface is on the shaft and on the vein.
Right. The positioning, I have a question on more on that, but the positioning of the vein, we're trying to get that vein as far back, as close to the knock as possible. Correct?
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. Now that said, the higher the let off, the worse it gets. Because
the higher the let off, the
worse
even
it gets.
further back it needs to be.
No, if you go further, the back is the worst. The higher the FOC, the worse it gets.
Oh yeah, because you're trying to adjust the center of pressure.
No, because if you have high FOC, the front is going to stabilize faster. The tail is going to whip more. As the vein goes to the back, the angle of attack of the vein become higher.
Right. So that's why it gets worse, because you have your center of pressure's off.
No, it's the center pressure is always the same. The thing is that you got the mass and momentum is higher in the front. So you got directional control where the vein become weaker. The vein will flip higher and lower because the front is more stable because you got more mass.
Okay. So here's a question it's something that we get requested a lot. What is the difference between offsetting a vein and helical?
To be frank with you, the difference is that you're dragging it. The offset and the helical will give you technically identical effect. It's like the thing is there's the sound value, what you're doing at. Because it's like you put a piece of plywood down on the back of your truck at an angle or curved it. The curve will give you a smoother flow, but the sound get bigger because of turbulence on the back. While a straight flow will give you delta vortex on the entire surface. So they all have benefit and downside. But in the case of an arrow, most of the guys shooting 280 feet per second and below, it don't make a difference. Over 280, you're crazy. The vein no longer work anyway.
Right.
You just got a drag surface.
So we offer a Q2I vein. It's the Fusion 2. So I think it's 2.1 inches long. And we have a lot of people requesting like a 3 or 4 degree helical in that vein.
I understand.
That is not really possible, correct?
It's possible. You just are doing a helical clamp, adjust the thick toe clamp, file the clamp down until you got that. But after you get it, what do you get?
Nothing.
You get a thing to look at.
Yeah.
It have to do zero thing to your arrow. But you know what? You can't tell people that. I mean, they are so set for that. Oh, you need to be 6 degree helical, or else you don't steer the broadhead right. I mean, how many times I hear that?
Yeah.
I say,
we typically don't do anything over 2.5 degrees. Just because of the amount of the surface area that you have on the shaft. When you're trying to wrap the vein around it, your adhesion is not good. Of
course it's not good. You need to file the entire clamp to give you entire curve cohesion. That's the reason the helical clamp, as I said, if Dorge ever built a helical clamp, it will be a $600 clamp.
Yeah.
Because you need to use magnetic force and like a nickel titanium to give you the adjustment of the curve, because you're dealing with an angled arc. Think through it. There is no solid surface that maintain the same and give you I mean, just like you go 3 and 4 degree, what does the arc look like on a 204?
Oh, it's strong.
Yes. So how do you glue the front and the back? The only place that glue is the middle. Just like it's not bashing. Just like you use a Vein Master Pro, you put a 3 degree on it and you put the freaking vein on it. The only part that have pressure is the front and back. The
Yep.
midsection have no pressure.
It's
So
like
how the hell do you glue it?
yeah, yeah.
You can
It's like
literally slide. I mean, seriously, you can slide. If they do a straight vein, you can slide 3 pieces of paper under the middle of the vein.
yeah, you can blow air through it.
Correct.
It's like
And
fluttering
how the
around.
hell? Right. I mean, what are we talking here? I mean, yes, the heavy helical with the like a Vein Master Pro, you can get better because you are using the pressure of the curve to
Sure,
push it
yeah,
down.
yeah, that makes sense.
That is where Vein Master Pro shines because you are using 2 pieces of wire and an arc with pressure over the arc. So now you get a more even pressure. That's where it shines.
Yeah, those
Okay.
are easily my least favorite builds. Easily my least favorite.
Yeah, but you see, if you want to build those, I mean, getting a Vein Master Pro is not a bad concept because it's so much easier to do. But at the same time, after everything is done, you don't really get anything besides looks.
Yeah, and I just
But
I
you
really
can't tell people that. But if that's what they want, I always said, you can't help quote unquote other people or not smart people, and you give them what they ask for and be done with it. They're your
yeah.
customer. They have opinion. Just like when did they have opinion? They're just like assholes. Everybody got one, and none of them feel good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there are some factors, and I think you mean the same thing by this too. But when we talk about four fletch, you talk about. I asked you at Harrisburg. Remember, I said, "What
Mhm.
three fletch or four fletch?" And you always say four fletch is for people who can't shoot. And there's a lot of truth to that. And there's a lot of archers that do need it because they just can't shoot. So I do see
Correct.
sometimes where people tend to go towards the four fletch because it hides a lot of flaws.
Because if you go on 4 fletch, must go 3-inch fletchings will give you the same effect.
That's true too.
Because what you're increasing in drag
It's
surface.
drag.
Well, you want drag surface, so go ahead and put a 3-inch vein on it. You
Right.
get them much easier. Plus, on top of the 4 fletch, you have fletching clearance, cable clearance, all the rest of the problems.
Mhm.
The people say, "Oh, 4 fletch is so good." So what rest are you using? What bow are you using? You got to Hoyt and do 4 fletch with it and see how good you feel.
Yeah. I
And
I think my solution to a lot of like just like you said, a higher profile vein in a three fletch is
no,
going to
not
give you
higher
the same.
profile. The longer vein. The higher profile will be okay, but you also have cable clearance problem.
Well, sure, yeah, too, yeah, that too.
Because see, technically, the higher the speed, the taller the vein, the better. Because you got tip speed.
Yeah,
Okay. The moment you go slower, the longer the vein because you don't have speed. So the another thing you think about is like a flying snake compared to a bat.
yeah, yeah, that makes sense. That seemed to be because I mean, we've talked about it 1,000 times, but there's the heavy broadhead, the super big fixed blade broadhead trend
Mm-hmm.
that we're dealing with here, and that's what people want to shoot. And you talk about all the time, like people, you ask what broadhead do you have to use because people
Yes.
can't. I mean, they're in love with a broadhead, or they spend a ton of money on a broadhead, and that's what they have to use. So, you kind of have to build the fletching configuration that's going to match or that's going to work well with them, and it just so happens that the four fletch variation is the most chosen for us, and it is my least
Yeah,
favorite.
right. Because first of all, it take more time. Just like if you on my website do a 4 fletch, it costs you $1.50 more per 3 arrows.
You
Because
can four
somebody
fletch
had to,
arrow vein?
of course, Tech 15, bow tie.
Hmm. Is it any different? Any better? Any more
You
performance?
don't have a choice. The trigger box block the top vein. You have to fletch like a bow tie.
No, no,
Vein.
I mean putting the fourth vein on it.
It costs more.
No, but performance wise.
No, it's not better.
Hmm.
To be fair with you, when your veins are within 60 degrees of each other, it behaves like a super fat vein. It's meant to turn, not to fly through.
Wouldn't they be 90 degrees?
No, because Tech 15 have to fold it like a bow tie
Oh,
because it does the
then
trigger box
they're
block
closer. Okay.
the 90 degree. See, 90 degree is bad because when you're a crosswind, as the arrow turns, you got two positions. You got 100%
Two
of
surfaces.
crosswind.
Yeah.
You got two surfaces at 100%. While with three wing, as it turns, the surfaces maintain the same on the
Right.
crosswind signature. But at the same time, when the four wings, when you're at 45 degree, your surface is the minimum. The moment it turns to a 90 degree, your surface is maximum. So the arrow will jaggedly move.
That's not talked
While a
about
three
enough.
wings is always enough because
Yeah.
the same is a three. the entire outside surface did not change as far as the wind is concerned. Just like you put a 4-wing, you put in water flow, and then you turn the 3-wing, it's the same. The moment you go to 4-wing, you hit sideways, you moved. And then go back to the side, you lower. In other words, you're talking a jacketed airflow on pressure.
That's something that's not talked about enough.
This is basic aerodynamics. I mean, most people have not learned anything.
So how many people listening to this took aerodynamics?
I mean, the same thing, just like, the 4-blade propeller compared to 3-blade propeller. Guess what? The 3-blade always win out.
Yeah.
Or the 2-blade in high speed.
Sure. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people. Are you on TikTok at all? Do you get on TikTok?
No, I have never been there.
There's a lot of people that are messing around with. Remember the one we did a podcast one time. There's a conversation you were like talking about how, at certain speeds, whatever you do with your vanes just doesn't matter. And you were talking about like take an arrow and shoot it, and then take your next arrow and cut the back of the vane off and shoot it, and see how there's like no difference. There's people that are like putting the fletchings on backwards and then putting them all different spots on the arrow. And they're shooting great groups at 30 yards.
Correct, because when you shoot like low speed with a heavy FOC, it really do not matter because you're not passing the 280 feet per second. The 260 is where you got some effect. Okay. Yeah. So people need to understand speed and aerodynamics. Without speed, air resistance don't mean anything.
Yep.
The moment you deal with, like me, I'm seeing guys shooting 500 feet per second. You just have minor problems. Yeah. It's like, whoa, what just happened?
I could have used a 500 feet per second crossbow Saturday. I made a pretty large mistake. I missed a really big buck Saturday, Dorge.
Oh, Jiminy.
Yep.
How far?
45.
Yeah, there's nothing to do with speed. Your arrow is totally quiet.
It was just a misjudge of distance.
Oh, remember, speed have nothing to do with distance.
I mean,
speed will help. I know that. That's the reason. Remember my favorite customer, my favorite talk about customer with 26-inch draw with 45-pound weight max, shoot through an elk at 65 yards.
Yep.
In other words, the misjudge of distance is always going to be a deal when you shoot at archery. I mean, even when yes, if you got a Garmin system or Oracle system, yeah, you still need to put the time in because until you get them set up, they are not going to work right.
Yeah, you have to calibrate them and everything.
Right, and see on that calibration again, just like when they first called me, they told Dorge, your arrow do not work without scope. I said, no, your scope is not do not have all the compensation for a real arrow. Yeah. They say, no, it works beautifully with all the arrows on the broadheads. They say, yeah, at what speed? The moment you go to certain, you tell me that two identical vehicles with same engine, one looks like a truck and one look like a car, and you go down the highway at 75 miles per hour, they drive the same? No. Hell no. So the right now for most of the scope, they have the speed, they have the weight. But you need the third factor, aerodynamic efficiency.
Yeah.
Because at that moment, as you go further, the distance, the arrow is stabilized, the gyroscopic reaction will kick in. You also have the effects of the cycle plus the energy loss. These are all part of it. So that's the reason when you look at some of the guy who use my arrow or the arrow you built, you find out that the moment they shoot over 315, none of the tape worked. The tape worked for the first 30 yards, then it doesn't work for the next 60 yards. I told them, if you wanted to work, cut 3 tapes. Because the further you go, the shorter, the faster you
piece them together. Yeah.
Correct. And the same thing with the Oracle. I told the customer just come by, so tell him, what you need to do, look at the further distance you shoot. And don't do the 20-30, do the 20, 40, 60, 80. Yeah. If you shoot 100, do a 20, 25, 50, 75, 100. Because then the system will now give you using those dots and do your curves again. Yeah. In other words, you need to normalize your curve. Now, we're going back to math again. The more dots you got, the better the result you get.
Yeah.
Correct. Because as you expand the distance further, the variance become bigger because the aerodynamic become a bigger factor. For the first 20 yards, there's really no major difference because the arrow have not stabilized. Unless you're using my arrows like the one you build, you feel like their penetration. I mean, yesterday, for the heck of it, I just saw I saw a YouTube video. Very funny. The guy got a brand new Hoyt, 30-inch straw. Shoot a deer, afford the deer. At 20 yards, the arrow had 3-inch penetration, and the freaking deer just run away.
Oh boy.
Ask yourself, what's wrong with that picture? You got a 70-pound draw, 70-pound pull, 30-inch draw, shooting a deer at maybe 20 yards, and you
A
got
70-pound deer.
Yeah, I mean, you have 80 on a on the 86 point. Oh gosh, and you can't get a pass through. I mean, just put it this way: with your bow, not saying it's a bad one, you will go through the first shoulder blade and then out the second.
Yeah.
Because the arrow is already straight and do penetration the right way. People don't understand. Until the arrow is straightened, you have no penetration abilities. It's like you trying to hammer a piece of PVC tubing into the ground with a hammer on the back. The full tip just flags and nothing goes in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You need to get the thing straight first.
Yep. That's the key. You've have you been able to hunt it all this season yet?
No, I'm still working on my new vehicle. I'm trying to get it fixed. I'm trying to get all the I mean, just like today. I mean, I got about 6 dozen of arrow coming in today.
6 dozen arrows on October 10th.
Yeah.
God, people. Get it together.
No, it's all the way to October 30th because some people only hunt in November. Remember those people?
Yeah.
Oh, November 15th is my hunt day. I should get an arrow on November 2nd. I got 2 days to practice. I'll go on the plane and I'll be in Kansas on November 15th. And shoot
Good
my
enough. Yeah. I'm sure you've dealt with that a lot.
Oh no, I got better. Oh, I'm going to land on Kansas on November 12th. Can you get my arrow there on November 10th? I may shoot 3 rounds of it before I kill my big buck. I know it's high fence. I know it's arranged, but still, you should put at least some time in it.
Yeah, that makes me feel bad. I'm shooting all summer long. I'm prepared, and you got people like that get arrows 2
I've
days
been
before the
shooting for the
hunt.
last 4 days in my target. Right now, if I got a bench, I'm shooting within ½ inch on my stat stalker with my arrow, so I'm very, very comfortable.
Good, good. Well, I hope you get to enjoy some of the good weather we're having here pretty soon. I'm sure there's some big old Illinois bucks waiting to get a
No, I
Firenock
remember
dagger.
I hunt public land only. Public land is not easy, so I may just shot a small deer to fill my freezer first.
Well, don't be humble, Dorge. I know you got some booners in there.
I did shoot a few.
I know. But anyway, I hope you get to enjoy it. This is the time of year we all look forward to. I'm glad to be back talking to you, and good luck out there. I have a phone call to get to, but we will talk again soon.
Yep, maybe sometime next week. All right.
Thanks, Dorge.